Paris-based avant-garde fashion label Aganovich is actually the story of two modern-day nomads. Nan Aganovich and Brooke Taylor started the brand a few years after first meeting in London in 2002. She is the label's creative director, born in Yugoslavia and raised in Denmark. He is the Monte Carlo-born American who is the label's art director.
We love dressing up. Aside from the concepts, aside from production, aside from all the other elements that are in consideration, we like dressing up, and we think people should actually dress up more. When we fell in love, very much our courtship involved each of us dressing up very much to meet each other. If you remove all the arty references and all the specifically fashion elements, what would be nice for people to take away from what we do is just to dress more, to look, you know, to look great for that person or to look great for that event, and to love looking unique.
With the help of Hong Kong investor Semiotics, they recently moved their studio to Paris, a city they describe as the label's spiritual home. Their participation in HKCEC's Fashion Extravaganza will be their first show in Asia.
One of our first supporters was actually the boutique in Hong Kong called Joyce. We've had a lot of contact with Hong Kong, so we're very much looking forward to taking part in this. Hong Kong still very much, for us, plays a role very similar to Hollywood in the USA. Hollywood, with its celebrities and everything, and its film industry, drives a lot of the American market and the things that they want. And Hong Kong, for us, from the outside, seems very much a similar kind of thing, where you have a very successful film industry, you've got a celebrity culture, you have all those elements that drive appetite for garments and style. China is developing very quickly its sense of experimentation and playfulness, and they've kind of moved from bigger brands to seeking out smaller brands. It would be interesting for us to be part of that, because they start to look out for more interesting and more eclectic brands. I think that could be an interesting thing we'd like to bring to the Asian market.
Known for fusing art with fashion, inspiration for the Aganovich aesthetic comes from many varied sources.
We are a lot about the contrast and the opposites.
Yeah. That's true.
It's kind of the thin line between things that don't actually go together.
We're often trying to find a sense of displacement, trying to find a terrain of things that haven't necessarily already been defined. But more concretely, we tend to plunder a lot the early 20th century art movements like Futurism, Constructivism, a little bit of Bauhaus, a lot of that kind of era where things were very rich in reference. The inspirations for this collection, and pretty much most of our collections, always come from a fairly abstract element about being in the middle of nowhere. And in this collection specifically, we chose the theme of gypsies as something that was kind of summed up that sense of being in the middle of nowhere, traveling.
But the duo stops short of calling themselves artists.
Coming up with unique designs is just, in our case, is a lot of talking and then a lot of work. It's just trying to hone through discussion and research what exactly we're trying to achieve. Nana working essentially hours with the drawings and the pattern cutter to essentially get to the core of what it is we're trying to say.
So it's just a lot of fittings and a lot of work to get from the idea to a final garment. The favorite part would be when we actually is in the middle, not in beginning when we come with ideas and we discuss them, but the actual process when we are doing fittings. So it's in the middle of making the collection, when all the ideas are kind of start happening.
It's a process that Aganovich hopes will resonate with their audience in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong's totally unique. We've been going to Hong Kong for about 10 years. And it's just the most amazing place. So specifically as it relates to fashion, I mean, it's always been very much at the forefront of fashion. And then also you have a lot of manufacturing that goes through Hong Kong, which keeps it very relevant in that aspect. But I think what's most relevant aesthetically about Hong Kong is actually just the way it's made up. Skyscrapers, the sea, the hills, everything that makes this kind of amazing contrast. You know, that's what we're after a little bit in our work, those contrasting elements. So for us, that's what Hong Kong's about.